El Chapo, the notorious drug lord, was finally captured and sentenced to life in prison in 2019. But his legacy of violence and corruption did not end with him. His son, Ovidio Guzmán López, also known as El Ratón, the Mouse, inherited his father's empire and became one of the most wanted men in Mexico. On January 5, 2023, the Mexican authorities captured Ovidio López in his house in Culiacán. His arrest triggered a violent reaction that reduced the city to ruins. But what was even more shocking was what the authorities found inside his house. Let's take a look. One golden rule for any drug lord with a price on their head is to avoid staying in one location for too long. It's a tactic followed by notorious drug lords like Escobar and El Chapo, and Ovidio Guzmán López was no exception. His life since his first arrest in 2019 has been a testament to this rule. In October 2019, Ovidio Guzmán López was arrested by the Mexican government. After being arrested, he made a move that would embarrass the Mexican government. He managed to force them to release him just a few hours later, a feat not many drug lords can boast of. This release, however, came at a high price. When Guzmán López was initially apprehended, his men carried out unimaginable violence in the city. A full-blown war started, and like all wars, there were casualties. 13 people died, and 9 soldiers and a policeman were captured. But that wasn't all. The violence escalated further as sicarios, or hitmen, associated with Guzmán López attacked the homes of military personnel and their families. This intense and violent response by Guzmán López's men forced the government's hand in releasing him. After his release, Ovidio Guzmán López continued to evade capture by staying out of the spotlight. He found refuge in various apartments scattered throughout Sinaloa. This strategy allowed him to remain hidden from law enforcement while maintaining a level of comfort and mobility. His most recent hideout was in Jesus Maria, a small town near Culiacán, Sinaloa. With only around 5,000 inhabitants, everyone knew everyone else in Jesus Maria, including Guzmán López. Despite the risks, he returned to his hometown, where the residents could easily identify him. Surprisingly, the people of Jesus Maria did not reveal his whereabouts to authorities. Instead, they loved the young drug lord. Some saw him as an elder brother figure, while others considered him a grandson. His return to Jesus Maria in December 2022 was accompanied by his personal armed team, known as the El Ratón Sicarios. This heavily armed group, consisting of about 40 hitmen from the Sinaloa cartel, created an intimidating presence. One would have thought they were preparing for an invasion. Instead, they were the security for Guzmán López's latest plan. On January 4th, 2023, El Ratón invited his family for a reunion and holiday party. Despite the risks and potential betrayals associated with staying in his hometown, Guzmán López seemed to have calculated that the loyalty and support of the people outweighed the dangers. He welcomed his wife, Adriana Mesa Torres, his 3 daughters, and his mother, Griselda López Perez, who happened to be El Chapo's 3rd wife. This gathering was carefully planned, a perfect opportunity to unite his family. However, little did Guzmán López know that this gathering would also mark a turning point in his life. On January 5th, 2023, the Mexican army moved to arrest him for the 2nd time. They knew they had to do something unexpected if they wanted to avoid the bloodshed that occurred the last time, so they planned to surprise him. But surprising a drug lord in a city where he is loved, and with only one entrance, was a significant challenge. The small town of Jesus Maria served as a perfect hideout. It resembled a fortress with no back door. There was only one way in or out, the Welcome Arch. This single entry point meant that any approaching force could be spotted easily, giving Guzmán López and his men a strategic advantage. Guzmán López's house is also built on a small hill, giving him the perfect lookout for approaching forces. To successfully carry out this operation, the Mexican army needed careful planning and execution. Guzmán López was a rich man, and he spared no expense during the party. There were excess food, drinks, and of course, drugs. The lavish party was one to remember. Guzmán López's men didn't want to be left out, so they satisfied themselves. They drank alcohol and took drugs. Most of the men were intoxicated, and some were in no position to carry out any security duty. This meant that less qualified men had to take care of the security of Guzmán López and the house. This situation played favorably into the hands of the Mexican military. They had to utilize the window of opportunity when many of Guzmán López's men were intoxicated. They needed a tactical operation that required precision and quick decision-making to apprehend one of the most sought-after drug lords. However, the problem of entering the small town of Jesus Maria and arresting a drug lord whom the locals view as a philanthropist without causing the type of war that happened in the past remained a problem. Since any ground entry would be too evident, they opted for speed and surprise by deploying helicopters. Within 10 minutes, the first team of soldiers landed at Ovidio Guzmán López's residence. They swooped down and swiftly captured El Ratón, who was asleep then, and evacuated him by helicopter. Many witnesses found the raid intense for a single man asleep in his home. Following the arrest, the rest of the army descended upon the town by road. They arrived heavily armed, equipped with an extensive arsenal, including high-caliber guns, tanks, and machine guns. The sheer number of soldiers, armored vehicles, helicopters, and weaponry brought to Guzmán López's house resembled a military operation. The Mexican government understood that this mission had to be flawless. Their coordination spanned air and ground operations, resembling the preparation for war. The Mexican government had learned from its past mistakes, particularly the 2019 release of Ovidio Guzmán López. This event drew criticism from the global media and put Mexico's capabilities in question. The United States, in particular, saw it as a sign of Mexican incapability in handling high-value cartel targets. Since then, Mexico has been under pressure to demonstrate its commitment to addressing drug cartel issues. The U.S. even offered assistance in detaining Guzmán López and other alleged cartel leaders. The arrest of Ovidio Guzmán López triggered immediate requests for his extradition to the United States. This situation raises the possibility of a reunion of sorts, as he could join his father in U.S. custody. After his capture, Guzmán López's men tried to repeat their 2019 strategy. Arresting a figure as involved in the world of organized crime as Ovidio El Ratón Guzmán was always destined to be a dangerous mission, likely not without casualties. He had grown up under the wing of one of the most feared drug lords in history, his father, El Chapo. No matter how perfectly the operation was planned, casualties were inevitable. The operation began around 4 a.m., a strategic time to minimize collateral damage while most of the town slept. The Mexican army swiftly infiltrated Guzmán's compound, releasing a storm of bullets with help from the armored helicopters above. As Guzmán's sicarios attempted to respond and prevent his arrest, chaos erupted. The mission claimed 19 lives, with 21 gang members arrested and the estate in ruins. The gun battle was fierce, tearing through the streets of Culiacán. In Jesus Maria, the violence was particularly intense and centered around Guzmán's house. Guzmán López's men faced a dilemma: rescue their leader, protect his family inside, and defend themselves from the raging battle. One team focused on retrieving Guzmán, while another wreaked havoc in the town, setting buses ablaze on the road to prevent the military from passing. They even fired at an aircraft, causing panic among the passengers, but that didn't deter the military. Mexican army helicopters circled the house, raining bullets upon anything that moved. Ceilings were pierced, doors were torn from hinges, and bulletproof windows shattered. Shell casings littered the scene, inside and outside the house. Fortunately, Guzmán's children had left early, narrowly avoiding the gruesome raid. Their departure proved crucial, as the events that unfolded that morning could have been far more devastating had they been present. Approximately a week after the raid, residents, local newspapers, and journalists were granted access to Guzmán's house, unveiling the full extent of the chaos that had occurred. In the living room, the first space upon entering through the main door, 2 overturned sofa chairs showed that some of Guzmán's bodyguards had sought cover during the shooting, especially evident from the large TV screen facing the window, now marred by bullet holes. The living room, once a space where children played and watched TV, lay in ruins with shattered glass tables and debris from the broken windows. The bathroom bore the brunt of the attack, with signs of dried blood, unflushed urine, and blood-soaked clothes scattered across the floor. The laundry room, believed to be a major point of attack, was a zone where blood was spilled profusely. The bloodstains, displaced items, and fallen hangers showed the severity of the assault. Ovidio Guzmán López lived in a lavish home that showed his immense wealth, boasting 3 opulent bedrooms, each accompanied by a private bathroom. High-end vehicles, including a spotless white GLE Mercedes-Benz and a black armored G-Wagon, were discovered in the garage, pierced with bullet holes. Despite an array of hiding places within the residence, bullets found their way into every room. Notably, it was in Ovidio's room that the soldiers discovered a disturbing cache of ammunition. Ovidio's bedroom was essentially an arsenal, featuring over 40 high-caliber guns and an anti-aircraft gun capable of destroying helicopters and airplanes with just one shot. The existence of such an armory confirmed Ovidio's status as a significant figure within a major cartel. On the contrary, his daughter's rooms showcased a far different scene. One of the girl's blankets bore a large bloodstain, raising concerns for the young one's safety. The last bedroom, presumably a guest room, revealed fewer bloodstains than the others. However, the messy bed had an abundance of emergency medicines, narcotics, and first aid supplies, indicating that this space served as the drug hub of Ovidio's home. It was likely the area where injured gang members sought quick treatment before braving the confrontation with the Mexican soldiers. The aftermath of a grueling 10-hour battle between the Sinaloa cartel members and the Mexican military left Ovidio's house and the town of Jesus Maria unrecognizable. Burnt cars, destroyed properties, and lingering trauma scarred the residents and the town. The military's continued presence in Jesus Maria has left the once close-knit community edgy and anxious. Allegations of looting and missing valuables from Ovidio's home have added to the residents' mistrust of the military. The fallout from the raid was severe. 29 people died, and more than 100 people, including children and teenagers, were missing. The battle resulted in numerous injuries and significant property damage. The town of Jesus Maria grapples with the memories of that fateful day, forever etching it as one of the darkest in its history. On September 15, 2023, Mexico's government extradited Guzmán López to the United States for prosecution on drug trafficking charges. What does the future hold for Ovidio Guzmán López, the son of the famous drug kingpin? Will he end up joining his notorious father in a prison cell, or will he follow a different path? Only time will reveal the answer. Please make sure to watch the next video on our channel.